Morning, guys. Morning, Knuz. جنة جودة، حسن جودة، مريم النقيب، يوسف عوض، عبد الرحمن وليد، هايا المصري، and Lulwa. Haya, can you hear me? Haya? Haya, can you hear me now? Haya. Haya, I have your name 2 times without any mics. Guys, if you don't have the mic, you're absent. Abdurrahman Walid, Haya, if you don't have the mic, you're absent. I'm sorry. You need to participate in this session. Hassan? Bodali? Yasin? Okay. Abdurrahman Walid and Haya, try to solve the problem of the mic or you're absent. Sorry. Jana Walid. Is it you, Jana Garaihi? Jana Osman? The same question. Okay.
مستر سوري بس هو ما بيعملش نيم غير لما بدخل.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Kiara. Okay, so we have 14 students in the room so far. I'd like to tell you something that some people didn't do the writing quiz, and they are Yusuf Sihrawi, Ganna Tamer, Hala Sharif, Haya, I think Yasmin Sa'a, and Yasmin Said. These 6 people didn't do the writing task, and they're late, of course, because it was on a specific day, specific time, so they'll get 0 for this quiz. Okay, as for the project, like that's it.
Mister, I'm sorry for interrupting. بس
Okay, not Ina.
إيه؟
Okay, Jana Walid, تفضل. Go ahead.
هو I sent you mine and Hala's.
Your Jana Walid, I received yours. Okay.
Yes, and I sent you Hala's. I told you she couldn't send it.
Halas, you sent Halas? Okay.
Yes.
Via mail or via messenger?
لا, messenger. I sent you mine, then Hala's.
Okay, I'll check this later. Hala.
I will reply it for you.
Okay, okay. Hala. Oh. Done. Okay. Maybe. Thank you, Jana. Okay, so 5 people didn't do the writing task. Again, Yusuf Sahrawi, Ganna Tamer, Haya Al-Masri. Haya had a permission that day because of the circumstances. She has an exception. And Yasmin Said. Yasmin didn't attend yesterday or the day before sessions, I think. I'm not sure what's wrong with her. If Yasmin can tell us, please go ahead. And as for the Term 2 project, Yusuf Sahrawi didn't do his presentation. Martina didn't do her presentation. Noreen and Yasmin Said again. So those four didn't do their presentation and their later course because they were supposed to do it on Sunday. We did the presentations on Sunday and Monday, and those guys didn't show up. I'm so sorry. You'll get 0 for the project. If you want to have an exception, ask the administration and let them tell me. Ask Mr. Osama and let him tell me.
Mister, can I do the presentation today?
No, I'm sorry, you're late. You can ask for permission from that school administration. The presentation was supposed to be last Sunday and we extended it to Monday. And it's Wednesday now. I'm sorry. I kept calling your names again and again on those 2 days. So ask Mr. Osama for permission and let him tell me what to do. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
So again, those who didn't do the project are Yusuf Sahrawi, he didn't do the project or the writing task. Martina didn't do the project, but she sent the writing task. Noreen didn't do either. Yasmin didn't do either of them. Ganna Tamer didn't send me or didn't do the writing task. Ganna Tamer. If she did, she can tell me or tell me where she sent it. Sorry. Now we have 16 people only. This means you're 15. This means about 14 people are not with us. So I'll start. Today we're going to do reading. And last time we did enters the struggler. Okay. Do you remember who the struggler is, guys? I'd like to remind you that your attendance, there are marks. You don't have an exam the second term. You'll have your marks for the projects, for the attendance, for the participation. Some people enter by name, but they don't take part in the discussion during the session. I have Tadros and Yasmin Said. Tadros. The guys who take part in the discussion are 4 or 5 only, and you know them by name. Some people never say a word. Some people just let me see their names and escape and don't participate. Again, Abdurrahman Walid, Hassan Gouda, Hay Al-Masri. Solve your mic problem or you're absent. This is the 100th time I say this. Abdurrahman Walid, Hassan Gouda, Hay Al-Masri. Solve your mic problem, please. You can tell them, guys, tell them. Again, last time we were doing part 3. The title of the chapter or the part we were doing was Enter the Struggler. Do you know who the struggler is from last time? People who were following up. Who does this word stand for? The struggler.
Max.
Osama Darwish. Just Osama. I think I haven't shared the screen yet, right? Can you see the screen, guys?
Yes, Mister.
Okay, who can answer the question? Who does the word struggler in the part we studied last time, last Monday, refer to? Who does this word refer to? The struggler. People who were following up. Kiara, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you answer this question? The title of the last part we studied was Enter the Struggler. Who does the struggler or the word struggler refer to? Who is this struggler? Is it a man or a woman? Okay, nobody knows?
Man.
A man. Who's he? You're right, it's a man. Who's he? Okay, it's Max Vandenberg. Max, the Jew. Okay. So nobody answers a question, guys. We did it last time. Nobody. I have 20 or 19 students in front of me. Type. Follow up, please. I'll keep asking you questions during the session. The attributes of summer. The attributes, of summer. Who wants to read? At least read. Who can read? Put your hands up if you want to read, please. Hello? Nobody wants to read? Okay, Mariam Naqib. Thank you, Mariam. Go ahead.
So there you have it. You're well aware of exactly what was coming to Himmel Street by the end of 1940. I know, you know. Liesel Memminger, however, cannot be put into the category. For the book thief, the summer of that year was simple. It consisted of 4 main elements, or attributes. At times, she would wonder which was the most powerful. And the nominees are advancing through the shoulder shrug every night, reading on the floor of the mayor's library, playing soccer on Himmel Street, the seizure of a different stealing opportunity.
Okay.
The shoulder shrug, she decided, was
Mariam,
excellent.
please. Hold on, Mariam. Thank you. So the attributes of summer means here. Can anybody tell me what's meant by the word attributes according to the part Mariam has read? I need answers, please. Be active. What's meant? Can you give me a synonym of the word attributes? Summer, according to the part Mariam has read.
Features.
Features, Yasin, maybe. Another answer, please. Who else? The attributes of summer. The attributes, sorry, I kept misreading it. The attributes of summer.
Quality.
Qualities, characteristics, maybe advantages. Because summer in such cold weather in Germany is or has many advantages, right? So the girl going back to Himmel Street and Liesel, she has 4 options to do in this fine weather summer. Okay, advancing through the shoulder shrug, the second book she stole, if you remember, every night, or reading on the floor of the mayor's library, or playing soccer on Himmel Street, or the seizure of a different stealing opportunity. So these are the 4 options she could do during this summer. Again, going on reading the shoulder shrug, the title of one of the books she stole, or reading on the floor of the mayor's library, or playing soccer with her friends on Himmel Street, and the seizure, the opportunity of a different stealing opportunity. I need somebody else to read. Thank you, Mariam. Somebody else? Put your hand up, please. This means nobody wants to read. Okay, Lolwa, go ahead. Thank you. Lolwa.
Mr. from the beginning of
The
exactly where, because I lost.
The shoulder
Yeah.
shrug.
The shoulder shrug, she decided, was excellent. Each night when she calmed herself from her nightmare, she was soon pleased that she was awake and able to read a few pages. Papa asked her, Lisa would nod. Sometimes they would complete a chapter the next afternoon down in the basement. The authorities' problem with the book was obvious. The protagonist was a Jew, and he was presented in a positive light, unforgivable. He was a rich man who was tired of letting life pass him by, what he referred to as the shrugging of the shoulder to the problems and pleasures of the present times on earth. In the early part of summer in mulching, as Liesel and Papa made their way through the book, this man was traveling to Amsterdam on business, and the snow was shivering outside. The girl loved that. the shivering snow. That's exactly what it does when it comes down. She told Hans Hopperman that sat together on the bed, Papa have half asleep and the girl wide awake. Sometimes she
Wait,
watched
wait,
Papa as he
wait,
slept.
Lolwa, hold on. Thank you. Wait a
Okay.
minute. So the authorities' problem with the book, which book, The Shoulder Shrug, okay, was obvious, was clear. What the problem? The protagonist, the main character, the good character was a Jew. Again, the main character of the book was a Jew. And this book was among the books that deserved to be burned. It was one of the books that were to be fired. Okay? And he, or burnt in the fire, sorry. And he was presented in a positive light. A Jew presented in a positive way. Unforgivable. This is unforgivable, of course. The Jews are animals, are scum, are dirty, are filthy, are everything bad. But this book shows this or presents this Jew as a positive person. He was a rich man who was tired of letting life pass by him, what he referred to as the shrugging of the shoulders to the problems and pleasures of a person's time on earth. In the early part of summer in Malking, as Liesel and Papa made their way through the book, this man was traveling to Amsterdam, this Jew, on business, and the snow was shivering outside. The girl loved that, the shivering snow. That's exactly what it does when it comes down, she told Hans Huberman. They sat together on the bed, Papa half asleep. Papa was always half asleep, and the girl wide awake. The girl was always eager to read, although Hans was always tired and half asleep. Go on, Lulwa.
Okay. So then sometimes she watched Papa as he slept, knowing both more and less about him than either of them realized. She often heard him and Mama discussing his lack of work or talking disappointedly about Hans going to their son, only to discover that the young man had left his lodging and was most likely already on his way to war. And then
So
a German word,
this part,
Papa.
Lulwa, hold on, please.
Yeah,
Sorry for interruption.
okay.
This part talks
It's
about
okay.
the problems Lisa and Hans used to discuss in the kitchen, and Liesel heard some of these problems the family has, sorry, like discussing his lack of work. He doesn't have anything to paint. He is a painter by trade, and he plays music or play the accordion when he doesn't have anything to paint. He earned a little money. This was a problem. Or talking despondently about Hans going to see their son. You know, the last time their son visited them, Hans Jr., he escaped or left home. He was and called his father a coward because his father didn't support Hitler, only to discover that the young man had left his lodging. The young man used to live in a lodging. He left it and was most likely already on his way to war. You know, Hans Jr. died in Siberia, in Russia. Hitler sent millions of Germans to die in Russia, and Hans Jr., Hans's son, was one of them. Okay? This is this paragraph. Okay, schlaf gut, Papa, sleep well. Go on, Lolwa. Lolwa? Lolwa, can you hear me? Okay. Jana Walid wants to read. Go ahead, Jana. Schlaf gut. Sleep well. Papa.
The girl said at those times, sleep well, and she slept around him, out of bed to turn off the light. The next attribute, as I have mentioned, was the mayor's library. To exemplify the particular situation, we can look to a cool day in late June. Rudy, to put it in mildly, was incensed. So can I go on?
Okay. Wait. Look. Uh, except Ali. Ali is always late. And Lolwa was out. Ali Gizi, can you hear me? Ali, you're always late. Next to your name, I wrote the word late. You are always late,
Yeah,
Ali.
sorry, mister.
Okay, no problem.
Something went wrong with my internet.
No problem. Jana Garaihi is reading now. Jana, go on.
Who did Liesel Meminger think she was, telling him she had to take the washing ironing alone today? Wasn't he good enough to walk the streets with her? Stop complaining, Zauker, she reprimanded him.
Yeah, she blamed him or scolded him.
I just feel bad you are missing the game. He looked over his shoulder. Well, if you put it like that, there was a showman. You can stick your washing. He ran off and wasted no time joining a team. When Lisa made it to the top of Hema Street, she looked back just in time to see him standing in front of the nearest makeshift goals. He was waving. Zauker, she laughed, and as she held up her hand, she knew completely that he was simultaneously calling her a Zaumish. I think that as close to love as 11 years old can get.
And she called him Zaukerl, and he called her Zaumensch. You a pig, you pig, a girl and a girl. They were almost 11 and 12-year-olds, and the writer says, or the narrator says, this is something close to love. Okay, go on, Jana.
She started to run to Grand Stress as the mayor's house. Certainly there was sweat and the wrinkled bands of breath stretching out in front of her, but she was reading. The mayor's wife, having let the girl in for the first time, was sitting at the desk simply watching the books. On the second visit, she had given permission for Liesel to pull one out and go through it, which led to another and another, until up to half a dozen books were stuck to her, either clutched beneath her arm or among the pile that was climbing higher in her remaining hand. On this occasion, as Liesel stood in cool surrounds of the room, her stomach growled, but no reaction was forthcoming from the mute, damaged woman. She was in her bathrobe again, and also she observed the girl several times. It was never for very long. She usually paid more attention to what was next to her, to something missing. The window was opened wide, a square, cool mouth, with occasional gusty surges. Surges.
So the girl was very hungry. Her stomach growled, but the lady, the mayor's wife, kept watching her. She didn't notice that the girl was hungry. She didn't serve her any food. Okay, and that's it. She kept watching the place, the books, the girl reading. Okay, go on.
Lisa sat on the floor, the books were scattered around her. After 40 minutes, she left. Every title was returned to its place. Goodbye, Frau Hermann. The words always come as a shock. Thank you. After which the woman bade her and she left. Every movement was accounted for, and the book thief ran home. As summer set in, the room full of books became warmer, and with every pickup or delivery day, the floor was not as painful. Liesel would sit with a small pile of books next to her, and she would read a few paragraphs of each, trying to memorize the words she didn't know to ask Papa when she made it home. Later on, as an adolescent, when Lisa wrote about those books, she was no longer remembered the titles, not one. Perhaps she has, perhaps had she stolen them, she would have been better equipped. What she did remember was that one, the picture books have a name written clumsily on the inside cover.
Yeah. Okay. This name was uh, Frau Hermann's son, who passed away in the war. The name of a boy, Johann Hermann in German. Johann, this is yacht. Johann Hermann, the name of a boy written on one of the covers of the book, clumsily, in maybe bad handwriting.
Was the son right?
Okay, go on.
Liesel bit down on her lip, but she could not resist it for long. From the floor, she turned and looked up at the bathrobe woman and made an inquiry. John Herman, she said, who is that?
Okay,
The
wait.
woman
So the girl looked at the mayor's wife who was dressed in the bathrobe. The woman was wrapped in the bathrobe, and the girl asked her, Johann Herman. Johann, this is the name which was written one of the books. Johann Herman. Who that? Okay, Jenna.
The woman looked beside her, somewhere next to the girl's knees. Liesel apologized. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be asking such things. She let the sentence die its own death. The woman's face did not alter, yet somehow she managed to speak. He's nothing now in the world, she explained. He was mine. In the files of recollection. Oh yes, I definitely remember him. The sky was murky and deep like quicksand. There was a young man parted up in barbed wire, like a giant crown of thorns. I untangled him and carried him out. High above the earth, we sank together to our knees. It was another day, 1918.
Okay, so the boy died maybe 20 years ago. Again, the mother's answer was, he is nothing now in this world, and he is no more. He is, as we say, he is a has-been. He is a has-been. He was something that belonged to the past. He was my son. Okay, the answer was my son, and this is Death giving this comment describing the situation in which he died. It was in maybe World War I, 1918. Jana, thank you. I need another person to read. So the people who read are Lolwa, Mariam al-Naqib, and Jana El-Garaif. Another person to read, guys. I have 19 students in the room. Put your hand up if you want to read. Ali Gizi, can you read? Ali?
No.
Morning, can you read?
Yeah.
Can you read, Ali?
From the screen, yeah.
Yeah, apart from everything else.
Okay.
I
Apart from everything else.
Sorry. Okay. Go ahead, Ali.
لا مستر أيوة.
Okay.
Apart from everything else, she said, he froze to death. For a moment, she played with her hands. And she said it again. He froze to death, I'm sure of it. The mayor's wife was just one of a worldwide brigade. You have seen her before. I'm certain in your stories, your poems, the screens you like to watch. They're everywhere. So why not here? Why not on a shapely hill in a small German town? It's as good a place to suffer as any. The point is, Ilsa Ehrman had decided to make suffering her triumph. When it refused to let go of her, she succumbed to it. She embraced it.
So the
She could
woman
have
said,
shot herself.
okay, sorry, Ali, the woman, Elsa Herman, the mayor's wife, lost her son, as we said, roughly 20 or 22 years ago in World War I. He died in the winter, looks like it's in the winter, because she said he froze to death. I'm sure he froze to death. She's describing how she felt about her son's death. Go on, Ali. She could have. Ali.
She could have shot herself, scratched herself, or indulged in other forms of self-mutilation. But she chose what she probably felt was the weakest option, to at least endure the discomfort of the weather. For all Liesel knew, she prayed for summer days that were cold and wet. For the most part, she lived in the right place. When Liesel left that day, she said something with great uneasiness. In translation, two giant words were struggled with, carried on her shoulder, and dropped as a bungling pair at Ilsa Herman's feet. They fell off sideways as the girl veered with them and could no longer sustain their weight. Together they sat on the floor, large and loud and clumsy.
The
Two
two
giant
words
words.
are
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay, because the girl reminded the mother of her lost son, of her dead son. She saw his name written on one of the books in the mayor's library. Again, the girl was in the habit of sitting on the floor because it was summer and the weather was warm then. She could collect or pick almost half a dozen of books, 6 books around her, and she used to read some paragraphs from each one of them. Again, on one of these books, she saw a name written in bad handwriting, Johann Hermann. She asked the mayor's wife, who was dressed in a bathrobe and watching her silently, who that the mother remembered her son, and she told Elsa, she told Lisa that he doesn't belong to this world. He belongs to the past. He passed away, according to the narrator, in 1918, which means he passed away in the war, in World War One. Okay. I need someone else. Thank you, Ali. Ali read. Ali is active, but again, he joined us late. Someone else to join, please, to read. Someone else? I want you all to participate, guys. Yusuf Awad, why don't you put your hand up and read Yusuf Awad? Tadrus, Yahya,
Yes, Master.
those guys. Why are you lazy gentlemen? Okay. Can you read?
Okay. Again, the mayor's wife watched the space next to her, a blank beach face. For what she asked, but time had elapsed by then. The girl was already well out of the room. She was nearly at the front door. When she heard it, Lisa stopped, but they chose not to go back, preferring to make her way noiselessly from the house and down the steps. She took in the view of Morgan before disappearing down into it, and she pitied the mayor's wife for a quiet while. At times, Lisa wondered if she would simply leave the woman alone, but Elsa Herman was too interesting, and the pull of the box was too strong. Once word had rendered Lisa useless, but now, when she sat on the floor with the mayor's wife at her husband's desk, she felt an innate sense of power. It happened every time she deciphered a new word or pieced together a sentence. She was a girl in Nazi Germany, half feeling that was discovering the power of words, and how awful it would feel many months later, when she would unleash the power of this newfound discovery, the very moment the mayor's wife let her down, how quickly the pity would leave her, and how quickly it would spill over into something else completely. Now, during the summer of 1940, she could not see what lay ahead in more ways than one. She was witness only to a sorrowful woman with a room full of books whom she enjoyed visiting. That was all. It was part of her existence that summer. But thank God, was a little.
So, and in the few paragraphs Yusuf has read, the girl feels sorry for the lady. The girl was, during this summer, was in the habit of visiting the mayor's library, sitting on the floor, reading some books again and again. Okay, it was the summer of 1940. Remember, about a year after the start or the beginning of World War II. Okay, go on, Yusuf. I'll just read the screen a little bit. Yusuf?
But thank God, was little more light-hearted in street soccer. Allow me to play you a picture. Feet scuffing road, the rush of boyish breath, shouted words, headed this way, skis, the course, Skysa, the course bounce of ball on road, all were present on Himmel's street as well as the sound of apologies, as summer father I testify. The apologies belong to
I have a
Lisa.
question here, Yusuf. I have a question for the class. Here, part 3, thank God, was a little more light-hearted, not as sorrowful as the first 2 parts. What are the first 2 parts we talked about, guys? A question for all the people. What are the first two parts we talked about? What are the first two parts? Remember the attributes of summer. The girl used to do four things. What are the first two ones?
Is a laundry, mister?
No, the girl used to do four things during this summer. They were listed at the beginning of this part, the part we read earlier today. This is part 3. This is the third thing she used to do during this summer, playing soccer on the street, playing soccer with the boys. But what were the first two parts? Who knows? Who was following up? Looks like nobody follows up. I have Mariam Naqib's hand raised. Okay, Mariam, go ahead.
She used to read on the floor of the library.
This is the second part. Thank you. What about the first one?
I don't remember them in order.
Okay, thank you, Mariam. The first part, guys, was reading the shoulders shrug with hands. Okay, nice. She used to go on reading the shoulder shrug, the book she stole from the fire on Hitler's birthday on April 20th. Remember? The second thing she used to do was sitting on the floor in the mayor's library and reading some paragraphs from different books watched by the mayor's wife, Elsa Herman. And the third part here is playing soccer on the street with boys. This is a little bit more fun or more light-hearted. Okay, who was reading? Yusuf Awad, go on. Sorry.
The apologies belong to Liesel Meminger. They were directed to Tommy Muller.
So these were the boys shouting while playing football. The apologies belong to Liesel Meminger. They were directed at Tommy Muller. Remember that boy, Tommy Muller? She gave him a beating before, if you remember. Okay, Yusuf?
By the start of July, she finally managed to convince him that she wasn't going to kill him. Since the beating she handed him previous November, Tommy was still fighting to be up around her. In the soccer meetings on Hemel Street, he kept well clear you never know when she might snap. He confided in Rudy, half twitching, half speaking. In Liesel's defense, she never gave up on trying to put him at ease. It disappointed her that she had successfully made peace with Ludwig Smickel,
Michael?
and not with Michael, and not the innocent Tommy Muller. He still cowed slightly whenever he saw her.
Okay, thank you, Yusuf. So we have about some seconds before the end of the session. The girl tried to have some peace with Tommy Muller, but the boy was still afraid of her. Remember that beating she gave him? It was hard and he bleeded, right? Or he bled at that time. She tried to convince him that she will not beat him anymore, but he was still avoiding being around her and he was still afraid of her. Okay, I'll end the session now and see you in 5 minutes. Thank you.